Today on The Daily Charge, recapping Microsoft's jam-packed event. Dual-screen Duos and Neos, plus tablets and laptops and ARM chips, oh my.
Good morning and welcome to CNET's Daily Charge. It's Wednesday, October 2nd. I'm Joni Salzman.
I'm Josh Goldman.
I'm Ben Fox-Rubin.
And here are today's stories. Microsoft wrapped up its big hardware event about an hour ago, and it was packed. So beyond just updating its Surface laptops and Surface Pro tablets, Microsoft also unveiled some new products coming this year, earbuds that take on Apple's AirPods, for example. But then Microsoft did one better and started announcing its big products for next year, too. The biggest reveal was the Surface Duo. It's a dual-screen Android phone from Microsoft. Guys, what do you think?
So exciting. I don't know. It to a certain extent, it felt dated almost immediately after they announced it, even though it's not going to come out until next year. And the reason is that it's a hinged device. It's like two devices stapled together, basically, whereas the Galaxy Fold from Samsung is now just starting to come out in the market. And granted, it's OLED plastic, which means it's a lot more fragile, but there is no hinge. There's more of a crease. So it looks a little bit more futuristic and a little more magical, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the flip-up keyboard thing.
Yeah.
The cover thing. That's fun.
Yeah.
Right? No? All right, fine. It's running Android.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
There's apps. Apps are nice. So, I mean, it's cool. I'm not really into folding things like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't really, I'm kind of indifferent. I like the Neo sounded a little bit more interesting. So.
Yeah.
The Neo is like the tablet version of this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's those are both going to be really expensive.
Yeah, we don't know how much they're going to cost.
Right. So we're going to get an impression on what the market will bear as far as these prices are concerned with, again, the Galaxy Fold, which is just getting started in the market now. So a year later, Microsoft is at least going to have some sort of impression on all right, how much can we get away with pricing this? But when it's like basically you're buying two devices slapped together, it's going to cost well over $1,000. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So for you, the fact that it's not a seamless one screen when it unfolds is a deal breaker. It's uninteresting.
I don't know what this could be used for. I thought it was a really interesting innovation to a certain extent. I'm really curious to see what app developers can do with it. It's possible that there might be some really useful, I don't know, Microsoft Excel, games, productivity tools. There might be a lot that could potentially be done with this. And obviously Microsoft came out with it when they did, to give developers that time to do it. But I'm curious to see what happens there before I really like jump on board or got really interested.
I don't know. You just made it sound pretty interesting.
Did I make it sound interesting?
All those things that you could do.
I was trying to do the opposite, but apparently I'm so good.
No, productivity is great.
They call me the CNET Panos Panay.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, that's what's it's just a nickname they've given me. I didn't ask for it.
That man can sell you your own shoes.
That's right. That is true. In a very sensual fashion.
Okay, let's move on. So right before we saw the Duo, Microsoft introduced the Neo. It's the same sort of concept. This is the dual screen folding tablet or laptop. I don't really know exactly the term you're supposed to use for it. It's bigger than the Duo. So the Duo had two 5.6-inch displays, and the Neo has two 9-inch displays. And the Duo obviously can take calls and has mobile connectivity. The Neo doesn't, at least from what we know now. What are your first impressions?
I really like it. I think it's a pretty cool idea, especially the whole keyboard aspect of it, of being able to slap that keyboard on top of that screen. Yeah. But then when you want to use the keyboard separate and take advantage of the whole both displays, which I guess equals to what I saw was 13.1 inches.
That's what I saw too, yeah.
Yeah, so you get a 13-inch display, and then you can use the keyboard separately as a Bluetooth keyboard, attach a mouse Bluetooth, and you've got like a regular laptop that you can also just fold up and stick in your handbag or whatever. So I think it's a pretty cool idea. I don't know. I think it just, in my life, it doesn't fit into it. But for people who are really super need to be productive.
Yeah, they need to be in their flow.
Yeah, they need to be in a flow.
They need the symphony flow.
They need their apps flowing and other things. So yeah, I guess
I think you touch upon a point that I wanted to make, which is I don't know who the customer is for that device. Again, it's an interesting concept. You know, we've seen versions of something like this before, like Nintendo did it before with the 3DS. Revolutionary as they were trying to present. And like, it's not so want to know who would actually want to use this. You know, there are obviously all kinds of like very thin and light laptops these days and ultrabooks. So is that the market that they're looking for to kind of jump into? Because that's also, it's going to be really expensive because again, these are two screens. It's not a screen and a lap or a screen and a keyboard and a trackpad. So
right.
Yeah, but they've got another year to figure that out.
So we got those two events at the end, but we had an entire hour of an event before that. What were some of the things that stuck out to you from all the other stuff that Microsoft announced?
The laptops seem like really good upgrades.
Yeah.
It's nice to see a 15-inch version, and it sounds like that AMD chip that they specially made with AMD, the Ryzen chip, sounds like it's going to be really good. It's using some of the architecture from the Xbox One, and it sounds pretty powerful right out of the box. But they're nice upgrades. I'm still a little unsure about the Alcantara fabric on the deck.
They stuck with it.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, people like it. We're going to do it.
I guess people like it. I don't I don't know. It's like they're trying to make it. That's it. They're trying to make people like it. They're like, oh, this is different.
It's a uniqueness.
Sure.
I would say for me, it was the earbuds. The earbuds, like the design is a little weird in my opinion.
All right, we had a fight about this. We had a fight about this already. Josh and I think it's no weirder than AirPods.
There's no weird. I would agree with that, but it's still kind of weird. We're still trying to figure it out. And I was just at Amazon's event last week. Apparently, everybody now wants to have wireless earbuds. So we'll see who wins out. It looks like Apple did already, but maybe somebody will be able to steal some customers away because now we're seeing them from Samsung, Google, Amazon, and now Microsoft.
I was writing during that. Did they mention if there's going to be like digital assistant? Is Cortana?
I didn't hear that. I was very.
They mentioned voice. Okay. They mentioned that there's voice control. I don't know about whether like that's like assistive sort of stuff, or it's just kind of like play Spotify. Like I don't know exactly how robust that sort of assisted voice nature is going to be.
I know a lot of the Windows laptops are starting to pick up Alexa on board so that they all have these far field mics that you can like summon Alexa from across the room. So I wouldn't be surprised if they figure out how to get that into those headphones too. So.
Yeah. The other element that I thought was interesting about the earbuds is that they're like doing Microsoft Office tools with them. So you're doing like a presentation, you're doing a PowerPoint, and using it to like swipe to the next slide. I'd be curious to see if anybody actually goes ahead and does that. The other thing is that the price is a little steep. It's like $250. So think about that.
Think about that.
Now we'd like to turn to our live audience to see what questions you have about today's headlines. You can sound off here in the comments or feel free to tweet at us at The Daily Charge on Twitter anytime, day or night, and we'll do our best to follow up and keep the conversation going. But for now, let's take a look at what's on your minds most at this very moment. BVG, what have you got?
Listen, first and foremost, I am extraordinarily disappointed in Microsoft today. They missed a massive opportunity to announce the Neo and not immediately go, whoa. Am I right? Come on, somebody else back me up. I know it's a stupid joke, but it's mine, and I love it. So, Matthew Datcher wants to know, well, he says, despite what Ben Fox Rubin says, I like the looks of the Duo and Neo. I wonder how well they'll perform. Are they both running Windows?
Well, we know that the Duo is Android.
Right. Yeah. But the Neo is running Windows 10X, not 1010. As we discussed earlier, it's 10.
It's an actual X that you say X.
It's an actual X.
Gotcha.
That's been, developed specifically for dual screen devices.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So that answers that. Android and Windows.
Yeah. So take that, Matthew.
Is there any other defining feature to Windows 10X besides just that it's optimized for the dual screen?
Wait, what?
Is there any other defining feature of Windows 10X besides just being optimized for dual
I think the
screen?
I did
modular.
not catch that.
I think the modular design is the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. But like you said earlier, people are probably going to have to develop specifically for the dual screen devices. So expect some things to be different. But overall, I guess the idea is that you're using the same OS feel between your devices. So I don't think they would change it too much.
Yeah.
Okay, next one's coming in from Kashif. Kashif, I think you're a new one to the chat, so welcome aboard. This looks much better thought out than other current foldables. Now, how do we feel about that? We know that the Galaxy Fold did have that little hiccup in the development and testing process. Would we call that half-baked in comparison to the hinged screen that we're seeing here?
I mean, I think the fact that the Fold sent their product to reviewers, they destroyed it inadvertently because of a design flaw, and then they had to push back the rollout of it like half a year because
they
of
pushed
that.
it back several months.
It was
Yeah,
a
for
long
sure.
time. I would say that that's not the way that you should roll out a device, generally speaking. Like that was more than a hiccup. That was sort of a disaster. In that, like, the only thing that could be worse is if it had actually gotten to consumers and they were all like, I spent $2,000 on this phone and I just destroyed it because I thought I could peel off some film.
It might be, it's probably going to be more robust than the Fold, but the Fold, I would argue, is obviously a much more innovative product. That's different. That's a foldable screen, whereas the concept of a two-screen device is something that's already existed. Maybe this one is a little more polished or a little more interesting. Maybe they can do more with Windows 10X and Android, but you know, it's beyond that. We've obviously seen these types of devices before. Not a ton of them. They haven't been super popular yet, so we'll see if Microsoft is more successful with that.
Right.
So we said that they took some digs at Mac during the keynote, but do we think they're actually going to continue with that campaign? Is that going to be like the thematic basis for their next commercial run?
I think they're just going to have Common, like, talking on stage in every commercial they have. Maybe he can make digs at Apple.
Because why not? I mean,
This is a symphony. Does anyone play an apple in a symphony?
I don't think so.
No. I don't know. That was...
It was a nice ending. Sure.
I would say I doubt it. I don't. It's nice to take digs at Apple when you can, but I don't think they need to. Because I don't think the people buying Apple products are going to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
You got me, Microsoft.
Yeah.
I want the Alcantara fabric on the keyboard deck. I want... What else do they? Bumper. Or I don't want bumpers.
Rubber bumpers.
I don't
I'm
want rubber
offended by your
bumpers.
rubber
Also, they
bumpers.
really push the touch screen. And they did it in this presentation. They do it in their advertising.
Right.
They say, our laptop has a touch screen. Obviously, the MacBook doesn't.
It has a touch bar.
Right.
Which
is something.
Microsoft said, I take your touch bar and I give you a Wonder Bar.
Right. We have a Wonder Bar. We've got, like, you can use the Surface Pen on it. So there were a lot of digs that they were trying to do. We talked about the rubberized thing. They talked about repairability a lot. Talked about how the keyboard was really good. I feel like all of those were digs on on Apple.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's probably why they brought up that you asked earlier, that's probably why they brought up that the trackpad was bigger, because like the Apple trackpad is huge on their laptops, and the Surface one's it's normal size. So that's why they're like, it's 20% bigger now.
Well, that was one of the biggest elements that they really, like, beyond that, what did you really see with the Surface Laptop 3 that was really that significantly better than the 2? That would encourage people to, like, upgrade or buy that one as opposed to the prior?
I don't know. You made it sound like that screen's going to get me pregnant. It was so beautiful.
That's show topics for another day, Joshua.
Is the Surface Laptop 3 the one that has that they made a big deal about USB-C?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
because they dropped mini DisplayPort finally.
Right.
So that was a big hang up for a lot of people who wanted to buy that laptop. Was that I had a mini DisplayPort, but USB-C is a big move. Oh, and because of that, they're able to charge it. They said 80% in an hour.
Fast charging.
Yeah. Which a lot of the Windows notebooks do. So it's nice that Microsoft's on board with that now.
So, Josh, one quick question for you. When you talk to other Windows laptop makers, are they uncomfortable with the Surface line in any way, or do they try to? I mean, like, how much are they really referencing the Surface line?
I mean, they're not really, because they're all like people like Lenovo and Dell are coming up with their own designs, and they're still partners with Microsoft, so they can't like slight them or go after them. They basically say, "Hey, ours is kind of like theirs, except we include the pen and the keyboard."
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when it comes to Surface and stuff, or with the laptops, it's like, yeah, ours is thinner and lighter, and that's what a lot of it. The thing is, with Microsoft only rolling out like one or two laptops a year, Lenovo, Dell, HP, they all roll out like 6, 7, 8 laptops a year, sometimes twice. They'll just do it. They'll refresh them, and so they can keep advancing the technology in their laptops much faster than Microsoft can. So it's the same thing with Apple, though.
It's the same thing with Google, with their Pixel line. They're also we're expecting to see a Pixel event fairly shortly, and that's another one of those situations where you're the platform creator. It's kind of like a player coach type of situation. You create the platform, and then you also you operate within it. And the benefit for the partners is that so far Microsoft and Google haven't completely dominated in hardware sales yet, even though they've been selling this stuff for years. But I'm always kind of suspicious. I always wonder like what those conversations are like when it's obviously there's a bit of a conflict there.
Shouldn't we be technically pronouncing it Wunderbar if we want to be accurate?
Sure.
I mean,
we could do that.
Sure. It has a W, and this is English.
Yeah, and they said Wonderbar.
And they said
stage.
Wonderbar.
Fine, I guess I'm just not allowed to have fun anymore. We got a few minutes left, and again, thank you to everybody for sticking around late today. Like we said, we wanted to make sure to get all of the right Microsoft stuff processed, digested, and some of it come out the other end too. But yeah, that's why we're late today, but we'll be back on time, regular show going forward. Next one's from Storm King. Is there a bezel between both screens on the Neo and the Duo?
Between, like at the hinge, I imagine he's asking?
Correctamundo.
Yeah, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not a significant. I think it mostly goes up to where the hinge is. It's not completely seamless, but I don't recall there being like significant bezels that separate one screen from the other, from what I remember of the visuals that we saw. Do you guys recall that being any different?
No, I just remember it seemed pretty slight.
Yeah.
But there was something there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a division, but I don't think there's any sort of bevel. Or at least not one that's very noticeable from demo videos that you get to see.
Taking a closer look right here on the screen, it's a hair thin one, but it does exist. I was almost wondering, like, are we gonna have to come up with new terminology for the sake of if the hinge themselves punch a hole out through a portion of the screen? Is that the new notch? But it doesn't look like that's going to be a concern or a case at all.
Well, what's interesting though is that what's described as like the borders on the top and the bottom, the chin and the forehead, those seem to be pretty significant. So
back to old school.
Yeah. That's I mean, we saw that with the Galaxy Fold. The Galaxy Fold, when you fold it up, that one also, the front screen looks really, really tiny. So they're obviously still trying to figure out how to make these that still look like modern phones.
Yeah, I will say this looked pretty like thin compared to what I've seen the Galaxy Fold looks like. This is
it didn't seem to have the gap, I guess, for the Fold. There's that little gap between where the hinge, because the hinge can't be the benefit you get of having it not be a foldable screen is you don't have that like compacting a screen problem
with the crease in the middle.
So you don't have the crease, and then you also don't have the gap when you have it folded. It seems much more like a flat thing that you can set down and looks like a single piece.
And like like regular 2-in-1s, you could tent it and make a little display out of it. So
sure. That sounds cool.
I mean, if you wanted to, I don't. Did they talk about like watching Netflix at all or anything like that?
They showed watching Netflix. Okay. I can't remember if it was the Neo or Duo, but they showed like. I assume you can have it tented so that you just see on like one screen. Yeah. But they also showed it where like a whale from one of their nature documentaries was like swimming from one side to the other, so it can be like that full screen display even when full. I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Netflix is a developer; they'll have to figure out exactly what it's supposed to look like. But it was definitely showing Netflix on one. I think it was on the.
I
Duo.
think it was
Okay.
Oh, I remembered incorrectly.
Maybe it was
thought
on the Neo. I can't
Neo.
remember. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
What about dual apps? If you're running Netflix on one screen and like
Yes.
Discord on the other or something like that, more like a 3DS.
Dual apps is definitely
Yeah, I think that's kind of the idea is that you're supposed
Whole
to.
point of it.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
supposed to run as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, and Panos specifically, Panos said, I found this so odd. He specifically said he was like, we did the studies and your brain is better with two screens, or you're more productive with two
He
screens.
said something about looking into we watch your brain.
We watch your brain and you're more productive with two screens. And my immediate impression was, I was just like, what about 6 screens? Like, just add more screens. See what happens to my brain.
Well, that's what
then.
iPhone. That's what Apple's doing with cameras. So why can't they do it with screens?
Yeah.
You
Well,
get a camera, 3 cameras, okay.
that's right.
I'll just give you more screens.
In a couple of years, he's just gonna like open it,
It's
and
just
then
be
it's
a
just gonna
map.
continue opening. It's gonna be like a billfold.
Be a billboard with like all the pictures of your family just dropping out, but it'll be your phone.
Also, Panos, get the hell out of my head. Like, what the hell are you doing, buddy? I don't want you to go rummaging around in
appreciate
there.
his
It's damaged
showmanship.
goods.
I dig him. I don't know.
I think he's funny.
That's so weird, but good. Weird, but good.
Okay, we have just a couple minutes left before we got to wrap it up. What about the peripherals that we saw? Is that keyboard going to be compatible with any other Microsoft devices? Specifically, Timothy wants to know about the Xbox.
You're talking about the keyboard for the Neo or the Duo?
That's what I'm assuming, is that there's some form of cross-compatibility in any way, shape, or form.
They did not talk anything
Yeah,
about
No.
I think it's just too early.
Yeah, but they said it was a Bluetooth keyboard, so I mean, I guess use it with anything that takes Bluetooth. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, it is
Answer.
only
Thank you.
because it was completely disconnected, right?
Yeah. But when you have it on the screen, I guess it'll charge the keyboard while it's on the screen.
cool.
And then when you take it off, you've got a regular Bluetooth keyboard. So
Okay,
sounds fun.
that's kind of cute.
Something
That's the
about
word I would use.
something about the Duo. But they didn't. Did they talk about a stylus and how a stylus works with this? Because they showed somebody using a stylus with it. They used like a pen.
I only
Yeah.
remember the stylus with the Surface Pro where she was drawing. That's the
They
only.
in the little sizzle reel for the Duo, there was one little clip where they showed the woman in the sizzle using a stylus of some sort. But
Yeah.
they didn't talk about it at all, did they? I don't think
so. But it definitely, I mean, you definitely can, because she mentions that you'll be able to like take notes. Like said something about when the keyboard's on the screen, you'll still be able to take notes like on the screen portion, and then type and then take note. Like you could
Yeah.
write things, and so it sounds like you'll be able to go back and forth between using pen and
Right. Yeah.
the keyboard pretty easily. I don't know.
But to talk about peripherals, we can't really talk much about compatibility with other stuff just because I don't think anyone's really talked about. But from what I understand, the stylus and keyboards aren't going to be packaged with either of these products. They're going to be separate.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the thing is that is Microsoft and Apple they keep selling these devices as being great productivity tools when you have the keyboard and the pen,
Right.
but then you don't get the keyboard and
Right.
pen.
Right.
So there
How
you
much
go.
how much is the pen, by the way?
I don't know. They didn't.
It's $100.
Is it?
Well, the current iteration of the pen is $100.
Oh, the Surface.
Isn't
pen?
that
Yeah.
pretty standard fare these days with
It is,
stylus
but-
and pens and pencils?
It is, but it's important to recognize that when you do purchase a product, you're going to tack on this extra and that extra. And
Yeah,
that
and
extra.
then,
So
I
it's-
mean,
the
I know
base
the-
price is not what you're actually paying.
Yeah, and that Surface keyboard is like $130, $150 or something. So
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
like another $250 right there.
yes,
so.
sir.
There's
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
sacred out there anymore where you're not buying additional stuff to go along with it. Not your car, not anything anymore, Ben. What do you think this is? A stable economy?
Yeah, I was hoping it was.
Whereas on MyBeat, it's just bundles everywhere. Everything's bundled.
That's right.
You get bundles
Bundles.
upon bundles. Everything's
Yeah.
bundled up. Not in hardware.
It's like add-ons in video games. Okay, we're out of time. Thanks everybody for joining us. Really appreciate you sticking around late today. We're back at the normal time tomorrow. Before we do wrap it up, what's everyone's takeaway? Go ahead and list what you think was the highlight of today's keynote. For me, if there was anything I might consider getting, it would be something fairly, in my eyes, frivolous like the Neo, only because my exposure to tablets is extraordinarily limited. I don't have a terrible amount of use for them, but having essentially like an all-in-one TV watching experience that I could put on the tray table on the plane, boom, that's a win for me. What about you guys?
I don't know what I think. I think all the products looked really flashy and cool. It's just
they were good products today. I'm not taking that
Yes,
away.
correct. I would like to spend time with the laptop. I think I haven't spent nearly enough time with Surface laptops before, so I would like to test it out and,
Can arrange that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Josh. That's why I said it.
I mean, for me, that's probably, I'd like to, the 15-inch laptop is probably the one I would most likely purchase. The other things just seem fun. I don't know if they're important.
Fun. Josh Goldman says it was fun. What a good one-word review of today's keynote presentation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know.
It was good stuff.
It was good stuff.
We all had good, clean fun.
It was magical on a smaller scale than Apple.
Wrong event.
There wasn't any major catastrophe, like no demos failed or no weird teleprompter issues, so I'm going to give them that much.
Yeah, there weren't any significant flubs.
They kept it moving, and it seemed like they ended on time as well, which is unheard of.
Also, it was a pretty small space, right? I'm not making that
and
up.
apparently ungodly hot in there too.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Like the Apple events, they pack in a ton of people. It looks like you've got like orchestral seating in there.
Yeah.
This one, it was just like Panos, like doing like a
walking along the aisles,
off-Broadway show. Like,
looking people in the eye.
Right. Yeah. He's like, I see you over there. You've got a MacBook. How dare you?
Yeah. Although you half expect him to pull a dove out of his pocket at some point.
I'd pay good money to see Panos throwing people out of the theater for having the wrong kind of hardware on site, right?
It's very likely to happen. If that happened, I wouldn't be even like a little surprised.
I would. He's too cuddly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not. I don't know. That's much more like Apple mentality than Microsoft mentality, kicking people out because they didn't abide by your really arbitrary rules that you didn't tell people in advance about.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Like the arbitrary rule of like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. But we are out of time, so go ahead and do those things and set your timers for tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. back here on the normal time, normal channel with the Daily Charge. And until then, thanks everybody for joining us. And Joan?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Successful derailment.
Thank you, everybody.
I made up for all the smoothness that they took care of at today's Microsoft event by screwing up this show.
Oh, thank you. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and you already said everything I'm going to say. Yeah. So we're here live every weekday morning on YouTube, Periscope, and CNET.com. You can subscribe to our audio podcast as well. And we have a new and improved supercharged extended podcast. It's all on pretty much every platform that you get all your podcasts from. Links to all that are in the description below. For the Daily Charge, I'm Joni Salzman.
I'm Josh Goldman.
I'm Ben Fox-Rubin.
Thanks for joining us.
Can't get enough? Check out the Daily Supercharge, our extended post show with special features, audience Q&A, and in-depth reviews. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.